The last part we're going to do for this module is the last technical sheet, and that's the take our building section and pull it onto a drawing and pull off two details of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing to do is to make a new drawing sheet. So I'm going to go to Sheets, make a right click and make a new sheet. We'll use that same E1. And let's drag our section on to see what it looks like. And it's kind of small. So let's change its scale right away. So I'll double click into it and change its scale. And let's go to 1/4. I think that'll fill up the sheet. And it does. And that looks pretty good. So I'll deactivate the view. And I'll delete it and drag it back in so our title bar is nice and aligned with the bottom of our drawing. So we have a good start there. If you have the annotation region visible, that'll be something you want to make sure is unchecked. And I think that's probably showing on most of yours. Okay, so now we're going to figure out how to pull these details off. We want to do that foundation detail and that spandrel detail. So I'm going to go to the section that we're working on right now. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to go to duplicate view and make a duplicate. And you know it made a section copy right here, section 1 copy. I'll right click on this and rename it, or double click on it. And we'll call this foundation detail. And we'll drag it onto, well, actually, excuse me, we're in the foundation detail right now, so I don't want to drag it in. What I want to do is make sure the crop region is visible for it. And then I'm going to neck it down until I just have that bit of foundation down at the bottom that we want to detail. And now I'll go back to the sheet and drag that on. So I'll drag that foundation detail on. And you can see it's really tiny, so let's up its size. We'll make it 3/4 to a foot. And I won't drag it off yet and redo it because we want to get rid of some things. We've got a lot of information here, much of which we probably don't want to see. We don't want to see the back wall and probably that back piece of foundation. So let's go ahead and alter that. And the way we can do that is let's go to level 1. And I'm going to select this 2, and I'm just going to pull it back. Oops, I'm trying to anyway. I'll pull that back. So it shows that we have section 1 and section 2 are lying over each other. And I'll highlight this one and we'll get a crop box and I can actually pull that back until we're not seeing that back wall. And we're actually just seeing the glazing. We're not seeing that brick wall there. That's the view looking all the way back. So let's go back and look at what that looks like now. So now we can see our glazing. We can see our little stub out for our foundation wall. And I think that looks pretty good. The only other thing I want to do is, this has a poche on it, and it's kind of blending in with this one. Maybe I'd want to do a little bit of a, I guess, an enhancement of that. So I'm going to click into this, and I'm going to make a region. I'm going to make a, well, we could try a masked region. Let's see what that looks like. That's just drawing. I'm just going to draw a box in here. See if we can mask that off and complete that. And see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. We still have the outlines, but we're not seeing anything filling it. And we'll probably do the same thing down here. So I'm going to grab that masked region again and come in, oops, grab my box tool and come in and do that, the same thing there. And click that complete. And that looks a little clearer. Let's put a couple of dimensions on. Let's pull these lines back. They seem to be hanging out a little further than they need to. Let's grab and put on a couple of dimensions. And then maybe kind of showing how that glass is sitting back there a little bit. And let's click off of that. And now let's get rid of our crop region. And that looks pretty good for just the start of this idea of doing a foundation detail. I'm going to deactivate the view. And once again, I'm going to take that foundation detail and delete it and drag it back on again so it's nicely cropped. And we'll position it. Okay, so now we have our foundation detail completed. Let's go ahead and look at making that spandrel detail area. So once again, I'm going to go back to section, right click on it, make a duplicate view. And then I don't have my crop region showing, so I'm going to make it show. And I'm going to pull this in really tight around that mezzanine area. And let's drag that onto our scene then. And you'll notice how our modeler is making these little, it's showing us those details and their callouts as we place them on the sheet. And so that's section copy 1, so I'm going to change its name to Spandrel detail. It's probably the best thing to call it would be a section detail, but we'll leave it at that. Just be aware. All right, and once again, we need to change our scale back up to 3/4 so it matches our other drawing. And I'm not going to worry about that title yet because we'll correct that in the next step. And let's look at, what's going on here. We have a lot of information on the back wall showing, so we might want to correct that. So if let's go to level 1, you'll notice that I don't have that third thing that I've created. And that's because it's up above that floor level. So the only place I'm going to see that is probably at the top of glazing L1. Hopefully I'll see it there. There's that marker. So I'm going to select that. And I'm just going to pull it back until I'm not showing the back wall any longer. And then we'll go back to that section. And it looks pretty good. I might change the crop a little bit, make it a little bit tighter. You'll notice how this really gives us a chance to think about our detail here. And this is, one of the opportunities of pulling these kind of details in. We can see that we have a spandrel and it's supporting this window and it's just touching the floor, but what's missing here is there's no way to structurally support the spandrel. We need to come in and add some kind of metal or brackets or something here in order to make this spandrel support itself as this curtain wall is built up. It's way beyond the scope of our introduction to computer visualization, but just kind of like pointing that out. This is the kind of information we get from these drawings. So I've hidden that detail now, or the crop region. I'm going to deactivate the view and delete it. I'll do zoom extents to get back to our full drawing size, and I'll pull that spandrel detail on and line it up. Okay, and I could put dimensions on, but I'll leave them off of here for now. This could have all kinds of annotation. It could show the steel beam. It could have the call off for the deck. Any information that might be helpful for somebody to figure out what's going on in that detail. All right, so that concludes that. We have now 2 technical drawings that we can export along with our sketch drawing, which is our, let me see, our presentation sheet, if we haven't exported that. And we'll cover those exports in the last little clip.